Hello there, friends. It's Jimmy Maverick. Welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Maverick podcast. And today we're going to do a mock draft on FantasyPros, a PPR draft. We're going to go through 8 rounds, but also, more importantly, we're going to talk about how to properly use the Q in your draft board to keep you from getting flustered on draft day. Here we go.
Listen up. It's time for the Fantasy Maverick podcast, starring the guy who's going to help you win that fantasy championship, Jimmy Maverick.
Hello there, friends. It's Jimmy Maverick. Welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Maverick podcast, coming at you from Santa Fe, New Mexico. And we are right in the middle of mock draft season. The next 3 weeks are going to be crazy, tons of activity, and I want to help you guys out in having the best draft possible. And so we're going to do a mock draft today. It's going to be a PPR mock draft, a live draft on FantasyPros, and we're going to talk about what are the best kind of players for you to target and how to work it. Now, this is going to be a 12-team draft. Pick number 1, and guess what? I don't take CMC. Don't like him this year as the first overall, so I took someone else, and so you can take a look at that. But the other thing I want to show you that I really want you to pay attention to is how I use the Q to help me out in the draft, to really keep me focused on the kind of players that I want to focus on and therefore make the best decisions at each round in the draft. And one of the nice things about draft mode is it breaks the list down round by round based on how the size of your league and your draft position. So when you look at the first round of players, you're seeing all the players that are between your first pick and your second pick. There's a little bit of overlap on each side, but pretty much those are the group of players that you are going to have to make a decision about and pick your favorite from that group. Another nice thing that it does is it helps you strategize. You know, if you're in like the 4th round, and you see that there's Cortland Sutton on the board, right? And you're like, oh, should I take him? Should I maybe take another running back here? What should I do? Well, you can go and you can click on the next round on draft mode and see what wide receivers are going to be available. And if those wide receivers look good to you, you know what? You can pass on Sutton and take your other running back, and then you're strategically you're kind of making your way through the draft that way, and it really helps you figure it out. I mean, there's one point in the draft where I have to make a decision. I wanted to take Matt Ryan as my quarterback, and I'm like, okay, so if I pass on Matt Ryan, who would I get on the next round of this draft? And well, it was either Stafford, who was a long shot, or it was Daniel Jones. And those were the 2 best options. Aaron Rodgers also made it. So if you're comfortable with going with one of those players, you can totally do that. And then we decided to pass on Matt Ryan, who we didn't end up getting. There's a very low chance that he would have made it back to us, with 22 picks in between our picks. But that's the kind of things that this app really will help you do. And so anyway, check it out and tell me what you think. Send me any comments you got about the player. So here we go. Hello there, friends. It's Jimmy Maverick. Welcome. We are going to be doing a mock draft today on FantasyPros. This is a live mock draft, 12-team PPR. I'm picking first. And I got to tell you what, I am not going to take CMC with my first choice. Now I'm going to use my app, which is My Perfect Fantasy Draft, to help us pick players. And I can tell you right now, I'm going to go against the grain because I am taking Zeke Elliott with my first overall pick. And the reason is because he rates best in my app overall in the first round. He is my overall number 1 in all formats. I love that offense. It's going to score a ton of points. And Zeke is going to be a big part of that. CMC, I view him as a regression candidate this year, so I'm not really interested in him. And Saquon, I love Saquon. And he is my second. He's my number 2. But they do face a very tough early season schedule, which could affect his performance. Maybe not, but Zeke has been obviously one of the safest floors in fantasy. Has never been the number 1 running back at the end of the season in his whole career. I think this is the year that it happens because I love that offense. That offense is very exciting to me for the Dallas Cowboys. They are definitely going to make some noise this year. Now, one of the nice things about picking first is you got this nice long gap before you have to make your picks again. So I'm just going to introduce you to my website, fantasyfootballmaverick.com. That's where you can access my app. The app is called My Perfect Fantasy Draft right here. And what it is it allows you to set up a fully customized draft list in just a matter of minutes. You can use filters to remove high-risk players from the list. And you can engage draft mode, which is what I've done here. And this is for a PPR list, 12-team league, picking first. And you can see, as I said, my number one pick overall in all formats, Zeke Elliott this year. So let's jump to the 2-3 turn and see what it's recommending. Now, the nice thing about this is what it's doing is it's showing me all the players between my second and third round pick and my fourth and fifth round pick. But instead of being organized by like draft position or something like that, it's sorted by the Vork Score. Now, the Vork Score is something that I created. It stands for value, outlook, reliability, and consistency. These are the 4 key stats that I look at when I'm evaluating players based on how they score on each of these points. On each of these categories, they get points. Those points are added up. That's the Vork Score. It's sorted by the Vork Score. And what I like to say is I want players that have scored over 40 Vork points at each point in the draft. So that's what you need to do. Focus on the top half of the list. Ignore the players at the bottom half of the list because these players are poor value. They have poor consistency, poor reliability. They've got negatives against them. They might be injured. They might have just signed a big contract. They might be a regression candidate. You just stay away from the players at the bottom of the list. But who's it recommending for the second round? You can see right here at the top, Le'Veon Bell, Robert Woods, Calvin Ridley. I love all those choices for fantasy. I do have Bell and Woods both tagged as bounce back candidates this year because of the high volume they received and the low volume of touchdowns that they got last year. It just screams reversion to me, and those are the kind of players that you want because you know Bell's going to get 300 touches and targets. You know Robert Woods, he's going to get probably 145 touches and targets. High volume. These guys are both high volume players. And I love the idea of just going with Bell and Woods. I think that's great. Ridley is a little bit of a, he's not really a reach here, but, his value is not as good as those guys. Kenny Golladay, if he makes it to us, that is a coup of the century. We would absolutely take him first. You can see the little gun there. That means it's a long shot for him to be available for us. But we can go and we can start getting these guys queued up. And this is what I like to do. I like to use the queue. And the big reason I like the queue so much is because if there is an interruption, if something happens to the connection, that it won't auto pick just the next guy on the list, the top guy on the list, because it hardly ever is the top guy on the list that is my next choice. And it also makes everything go a lot smoother as far as what you're looking for. You can see the players that you've already chosen that you like a lot. You can see that they are still on the board. Like if we choose to pass on a certain player, if we have it on the queue on the next round, if we see him, we are going to know that this player is still on the board and we can take him. So let's look at the running backs here. So the running backs for the second round, Bell, Fournette, Chubb scores very well. Chris Carson, all 4 of those guys score over 40 Vork points. So I'm going to put them all on the queue. So Fournette, Chubb, and Carson. I just need to close this. All right, so there's Chubb, there's Fournette, there's Chubb, there's Carson. What about Gurley? Gurley doesn't score that well here. Well, I mean, he scores okay. 35 Vork points. That's below the threshold I like to consider. I would want to get him a little bit later, like mid-third round. But, of course, we're not going to be in that situation here, so we need to take who we can get. For wide receivers, Golladay, of course, is the best. Woods, Ridley, Beckham, Moore, and Kupp all score over 40 points. And I like that order, actually. So let's put them up. So we're gonna go Woods. Where's Woods? Woods, and then we got Ridley, and then we got OBJ, and then we've got DJ Moore and Kupp. All right, where's DJ Moore? There he is. And where is Kupp? He's right there. So now if you look at our queue is nice and fat with options. And that's really what you want. It just helps narrow the list down so you can focus on the players that you really want on each round. And then again, like I said, all these players that we're going to pass up on now, it's very hard for these players to make it to our next pick just because of the long gap. But if they do, we're going to know about it and we'll be able to get them. So, but this whole thing is designed to help you strategize. Now, we can also just look in and if we want, we can just see who is at the top of the list. And you can see Kenny Golladay still on the board, 1 pick to go. If he doesn't go, we're going to take him. So, normally I do not take a wide receiver in the top 3 rounds, but in this case, because our 4th round pick is not going to be until pick 48, that's really a long gap to take your first wide receiver at pick 48. The choices are much thinner there. We definitely would need to take Golladay now. All right, so where are we at? Did he make it to us? Okay, Golladay made it to us. That is a steal. Again, he's a long shot. He wasn't a 50-50 shot. He made it to us. We luck out. We will take Golladay. I love getting Golladay there. And then, PPR, did it take him? Hello? There we go. It did take him. Okay. And then we're going to take Bell because, again, Bell, great volume, great passing volume, and this is PPR, so we definitely want to take advantage of that. Having both Zeke and Bell on our team, I love that. But Golladay is a steal at pick 24, such great value there. So let's go to the 4th and 5th round. And you can see here that it is recommending Cortland Sutton, DK Metcalf, Kareem Hunt. These are great choices for wide receiver 2s and running back 3s. I love that. So we're definitely going to get one of each. We'll get one running back. We'll get one wide receiver. So if we look at the running backs, Kareem Hunt is right there. Ronald Jones also does not quite score 44 points here. He's just below the threshold. He is also a reach. We're going to put him on the queue and hope that he makes it to the 6th round pick. But let's go ahead and get both those guys queued up. So Hunt and Jones. So let's go back to the rankings, and we'll look at the running backs. And there's Hunt. And Ronald Jones, where are you? Right there. And so you can see there's a bunch of running backs on this round, right? We got David Johnson, Swift, Montgomery, Gordon. I might be willing to take a chance on Swift as well. He does not score well at this point, but it's just because we got to take him earlier than we normally would. But the breakout potential there is very tempting, but we also already have a Detroit player in Kenny Golladay. I'm not sure I want to tie 2 of my players to one team. But let's put him up. I mean, there's no harm in putting him on the queue, right? So we'll put Swift on there. And now let's look at the wide receivers. It got some great choices. Man, I got to say, Sutton, Metcalf, Landry, 3 of my favorites to take this year. And so let's go ahead and get them queued up. So there's Sutton. There's Metcalf. There's Ridley. Ridley's already highlighted. Okay, that's great. And anyone else? Let's hear. So we got Keenan Allen, who's a long shot, Tyler Boyd, Terry McLaurin. All those guys score over 40. Those are great choices as well. So Allen, Boyd, and McLaurin, let's get them up too. So there's Allen, and Boyd is right there. And who's the last one? It's McLaurin, right? McLaurin. Where is he? There he is. All right. So again, let's look at our queue. Nice and fat with players. That's what I love to see. And of course, we still got a ways to go. We got like 13 picks to go here before it's going to be our pick again. But you can see that we have so much in the queue that we can hope to get at this point in the draft. Just a wonderful group of players. All of them are excellent choices at this point, at our next point in the draft. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pause till we're within 3 picks. Then we'll come back. We'll see where we're at. We'll see if there's anybody lingering on the draft board that we might want to consider. But, we've already kind of got our stack of players right here ready to go. So I will pause. We'll be right back. All right, it's almost back to us. And everyone that I queued up from the 2nd and 3rd round has been taken. That's not surprising. With these long gaps between my picks, that's going to happen a lot. Now, if you're a mid-round pick or an edge pick, you're going to find it's going to be a lot easier to get these guys on the cycle through. And so you can see that it came back to us. Kareem Hunt is still on the board. So as is Swift and Jones. Remember, Jones, we're going to hope will make it to us on the next set of rounds. So let's go ahead. We'll take Kareem Hunt. Great PPR option. He's going to get a ton of volume. So to have him in the flex spot is great. And then we're going to get ourselves a great wide receiver. Cortland Sutton was our highest rated. DK Metcalf I have labeled as a breakout. We also have Allen, Boyd, and McLaurin. Those guys are less good in my opinion. But I want to go with Metcalf just because I love the upside for Metcalf this year. and he will be our wide receiver too. So that is great combination, man. Galladay and Metcalf, and then for our running backs, Zeke, Bell, and Hunt. This is just this is an excellent start to our draft. Now we can go to the next round, the 6-7 round. And you can see that at this point, it's recommending Sterling Shepard. It's recommending Matt Ryan if we want to take a quarterback. And Matt Ryan is one of my favorite quarterbacks this season. Jamison Crowder also is a wide receiver. I think we're definitely just going to keep going with the one running back, one wide receiver here and continue to build our team's depth. So for wide receivers, Shepard, Crowder, and then Gallup is a long shot for us. So let's get all those guys on the queue. So Shepard, Crowder, and Gallup. So I'm just going to go back here. We'll do wide receivers. And let's see here. Where is Shepard? There's Shepard. There's Crowder. And Gallup. He's right there. So again, Gallup is less than a 50-50 shot. He would make it to us. For running backs, we can look here. Ronald Jones, of course, is the long shot to make it back to us. Philip Lindsay does not quite score 40 points here, so that's not great. But quarterbacks, we want to look here. Matt Ryan absolutely needs to be added on to our queue, so we will go ahead and get Matt Ryan there. And we are still, not that many quarterbacks have been taken, so we're in great shape that he will absolutely be available to us on our next pick. And let's see here for tight ends. We can look at tight ends, and you can see here also Hayden Hurst, who's one of my favorite breakout tight ends for this year for the Atlanta Falcons. So let's go ahead and put Hurst on as well. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to seriously consider, we might want to just consider taking our quarterback and our tight end on this next round because we are looking at a big, long gap to the next round. And one of the nice things about my app is if you're at all concerned, like, okay, so if we pass on Hayden Hurst, who could we get? On the next set of rounds, you're looking at Mike Gesicki, Austin Hooper, Jared Cook, Rob Gronkowski. None of these guys are great. They don't score really good on the Vork Score. You could even look for the 10th, 11th round. Jonnu Smith has a really nice outlook. He might be a decent choice. But that this will help you be strategic about it, right? If we pass on Matt Ryan in the 6th round, who's going to be the best quarterback on the next set of rounds for us? Well, Matthew Stafford, who is a decent choice. I do like Matthew Stafford, but I like Ryan more. And so, it's like, okay, so do you want to take the chance? Oh, and look, even Stafford is a long shot. He might not even make it, which means it'd be Daniel Jones or Aaron Rodgers, who, again, they're not bad choices. I like both Jones. I like Jones more than Rodgers. But, these are the choices you have to make when you're in a draft. And this is strategically going to help you out in figuring out who you want to take. Now, it would be nice, if Ronald Jones is available, we might go and just take Ronald Jones and take like Hayden Hurst so we get our tight end, and then we can come back and get ourselves Daniel Jones or Matthew Stafford. I mean, that's not a bad compromise there, and I would like to have a little bit more depth on my running backs here in the first 10 picks. So that's not a bad choice. We can look at our queue right now and see what's going on. Jones still on the board. Swift is still on the board. That's interesting. He'll probably be gone. But you got Shepard, Crowder, Gallup, Ryan, and Hurst all on the board here for our next pick. So I think we're in really good shape. The other thing about quarterbacks, when you're on the edge, when you're on the horn, either on the earlier or late pick, you got to be real careful with quarterbacks because normally what I say is when you're within 3 quarterbacks of the one you want on the list. So if we're looking at the quarterback here, I'm sorry, let me go back to the rankings on the quarterbacks here. So let's say, you wanted Carson Wentz to be your quarterback and you can't back 3. Once Deshaun Watson comes off the board, that's when I would say, okay, now you need to take Carson Wentz. But because it's such a long gap, you might even want to make it 4, So, Carson Wentz would be like, okay, I absolutely got to take him on this next round. But you can see here that 3 quarterbacks just came off in a row. And if you were counting on Deshaun Watson making it back to you with using that 3 rule, it doesn't work when you're on the horn. If you're in the middle of the round, it's a little bit easier to get. But you can see Matt Ryan is in a perfect spot right now where we're probably going to need to take him if we want him as our quarterback 1. So let's just go back to the queue, see what's going on here. Oh my gosh, look at this. They took like everyone out of my queue. Everyone except for Matt Ryan. Even did Hurst get taken? I mean, oh wait, no, I'm sorry. That's not true. I just kind of gave myself a little freak out there. I had it filtered for just quarterbacks. I thought they took all my picks. But you can see Matt Ryan, Hayden Hurst, Ronald Jones are still in play here. I think we'll definitely take Ronald Jones if he makes it to us. Oh, it just cued me. We're on the clock. Okay, so let's go ahead. Yeah, Ronald Jones did make it back. We definitely need depth at our running back position, so I love Ronald Jones. Love that offense this year. I think he's going to be very effective. And let's also go ahead and I'm going to take my tight end because I love Hayden Hurst so much this year. I think he's going to be huge. So let's go ahead and take that play. And we're going to pass on Matt Ryan. He's probably not going to make it back to us. But, again, we still have good choices, and we can still take someone like Stafford or Daniel Jones on the next round, and that would be a great choice. So let me go ahead and I'm going to get some queued up here. All right, guys, I'm going to have to bug out of this. I'm going to have to bug out of here because I got someone that just arrived, and I got to take care of this. And, of course, this is a live draft. So let's do a quick review here. So pretty good first 8 rounds, I got to say. So here's what we got. We got ourselves 4 running backs in the first 7 rounds. That's actually a very good ratio. That's what I like to have. And I'd like to have at least, optimally, 6 of my first 10 picks as running backs. But we got Zeke, Bell, Hunt, and Jones as our running backs. For our wide receivers, great pairing. Galladay and Metcalf, love that. We secured our tight end, Hayden Hurst. I think he's going to be fantastic this year. We still need a quarterback, obviously, but we've got basically our whole starting lineup. All we're doing now is we're going to be doing depth. And we'll probably get 2 more wide receivers and the quarterback, but everyone else is going to be a running back for our team. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will come back with a rating of the whole team. I'll come back and see how it auto-picked my whole team, and we'll go from there. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'll be right back. All right, friends, so we're back. So I ended up getting Stafford as my quarterback. So let's kind of review this team super quick. So for my running backs, I got Zeke, Bell, Hunt, and Ronald Jones, all right? For wide receivers, Galladay and Metcalf. And then I got, I got Hayden Hurst as my tight end, Matthew Stafford as my quarterback. So let's look at this team. Now, first of all, when I look at the value, I did get 4 players in the top 50, which is average. I like to get at least 5 or 6. It didn't happen this game, but still very good value here. The value on Hayden Hurst is not great, but the upside is what I'm playing for there. But what I really like about this team is let's look at the positives about this team. Hardly any negatives to speak of. We got Kenny Galladay on a contract year. Ronald Jones on a contract year. We got bounce-back candidates, Le'Veon Bell, Kareem Hunt, and Matthew Stafford. We've got breakout candidates, DK Metcalf, Ronald Jones, and Hayden Hurst. I love that. It's just all positive right there. The only negative is Kareem Hunt has had a downward trend in his usage over each of the past 3 seasons. A lot of that relates to his 8-game suspension last year, but there's no suspension this year. So, again, bounce back. Look at the outlooks. Everybody is 4 or 5 stars except for Stafford, who's 3. 3 is still good. I love that. Reliability. Everyone is either high or mid reliability. There's no low reliability players in this group. Consistency. If we look at consistency, everyone scores at least a 5 on consistency, 5 out of 10. So they are at least average on their consistency from a week-to-week basis. But look, I got 5 players with 8 or better. These are my starters, man. These are guys I can count on every single week. The only one who doesn't have a rating is Hurst because Hurst didn't have enough targets last year to qualify for a consistency rating. He was below that rating. But, really a very, very solid start to this draft. And, where I would have gone in the back half of the draft is I would have gotten myself probably 2 more wide receivers and 3 more running backs. Really just fill out with just as many running backs as I can. That's the way I do it. And I don't take a second quarterback. I don't take a second tight end. You don't need to do that. That's a waste of a pick because, especially with quarterbacks, there's always good options on the board. So anyway, thank you very much for watching today. I know this was a short mock, but again, I think it went very well and very much like it. And if you haven't done so already, please go to my website, fantasyfootballmaverick.com. Sign up. You can try the app out yourself. It really, really helps strategically in laying out who you need to take, when you need to take them, what players can you expect to have to pick from in the 4th round, or the 8th round. These are things that other draft kits don't really do. It doesn't segment it out and divide it up depending on, the size of the league you're in and your draft position. Those things massively change the group of players that you have available to pick from at each round. So thank you for watching once again, and I'm going to start doing mocks every single day now between now and when the season starts because this is what we're in, man. We're in mock draft season. It's all getting ramping up super fast here. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments, please leave them below, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day, everybody.